That comes
Absolutely.
down to, that's the bottom line always.
Yeah, as with most things. And so, in order to be able to provide that kind of guidance, there must be a pretty exhaustive evaluation and question and answer kind of process that you have to go through.
Always have to know what the medical needs of the individual are first. Sometimes they don't have any. Sometimes they're just a little bit older. They just need to maybe not make all their own meals any longer and need to go into independent living. Or stay at home and just have somebody do the shopping for them. I can arrange that also.
I might even like that. Jeez.
And that's, the clients that have done it really do enjoy it.
I bet, yeah.
But there is a point when they begin to need even more help, more care. No longer can drive, so they need transportation. Some facilities provide it, some don't. Well, I know which ones do.
Sure.
And that can be important. If you have to go to a doctor's appointment and your children aren't available to take you, how do you get there? Well, you call a cab company, or do you live in a facility where they automatically, every Tuesday and Thursday, run around town to all the doctor's offices?
Well, that's interesting. I know that, again, people don't, probably haven't been as informed as much as we all would like, and say that about a lot of things, I guess. But I know that there are services like that, where you can literally hire a company to do something for you for an hour maybe, and save a lot of grief to maybe your children having to take the day off or different things like that, where, people don't, especially the older folks, don't want to be a burden on anybody. So by having you available to help them understand that maybe they have a few options that they didn't know about, I don't see how people could lose.
And that's really the bottom line to it.
Excuse me.
Everybody needs some kind of help when they get into their later years. The question is how much they need.
Yeah.
I can provide them with transport services, referrals. There's even a county system where once you qualify for it, your rides cost during the regular part of the week about $1.70 a ride.
Really?
And on weekends, they raise it almost to $4 because it's more specialized.
Wow.
But there are also other sorts of transport, including wheelchair transports that pick you up, buckle you into the van, and take you on to whatever you need to go to, whether it's
Really?
the doctor or to church or wherever you want to go.
Now,
They'll
see,
do it.
Quite honestly, you're getting into an area I really didn't know that you did even some of those things.
I have a referral list, a long referral list.
I'll bet. Yeah, that's
And I try to arrange those things.
that's huge. So really, folks, when you're looking at a situation where you've got a loved one that needs some extra care, some extra concern, some extra observation, I would just believe that meeting with you as soon as they could would make a lot of sense, because they're going to be opened up to all the options that are out there. And then the specific ones maybe that would help them at that moment. Again, I just think that would be really wise on everyone's part.
But it all comes down to what I call a formula. And the formula starts with the A. What is the A? That's the needs of the individual. And sometimes they don't have hardly any needs. So the question is then, an hour or two from a home care company a few times a week. Maybe all they need, just to help them clean up a little bit around the house, maybe do some grocery shopping for them, maybe prepare some meals for them. Then you have the next level, which is they need help every day.
Sure.
And then they need several hours of help every day. But there's a point where that A gets to be so big it becomes very expensive.
Sure, absolutely.
So the question is always, the B is where they're going to get it. Is it going to be at home, in assisted living, or are they to the point where they actually require to go to a skilled nursing facility? And that's the other part of it.
That's interesting. So what you're able to provide is really, if I'm hearing you right, is a lot of information about where you can and how you can be helped today, but also maybe open your eyes to some things down the road that are fairly predictable, and options and levels of care that are out there. So let me ask you this. One of the things I know a lot of people are wondering is, what's the difference between like a residential care facility that has 6 people versus, one of these ships on land, you know? I
As
mean,
I've mentioned that to you many times, that's what I call them. But
Yeah.
the real difference comes down to the number of caregivers that are on site with you.
Okay,
And the license for six side of it, a minimum of one caregiver to six. That's
Okay.
the minimum.
Mhm.
And it goes up from there. And many of the places that I help and represent, it's two caregivers during the day. So that's 1-to-3 ratio, which
Yeah.
is pretty good.
yeah,
And then at night, at least one awake staff. And sometimes in a couple of them, they even have two awake staff during the night.
okay,
But the ones that are, for homes where they have a very high need level, their clientele has a very high need level.
okay, okay,
And the prices vary for each one. The ones that only have one person in them to take care of six people, usually you can get a little better price.
sure,
But the ones that have two, because you have the needs you may have physically,
yeah.
are a little more expensive.
That
The-
makes sense, yeah.
Then the cruise ships on land, they're great and they have a lot of extra activities, a lot more social activity going on. But their number of caregivers, as far as the ratio goes, varies anywhere from 1-to-8 to 1-to-25, depending on what need level you're in.
Really?
So
Wow.
you obviously get more care when it's 1-to-6 or
Sure.
2-to-6.
Sure, absolutely. So that's interesting. Now, as far as the, you know, the process when you sit down with somebody and you've asked them some questions, you determine a medical need, then somebody says, all right, well, it looks like mom's income is a couple thousand a month and maybe she's got some savings. Like you say, everybody has a budget, but there's got to be times, I imagine, where people maybe can't pay for their next facility, if you will, out of their income, and then you've kind of got to look at, okay, how long, if I think this is the best place for them, how long can they stay there? Because we all know that people don't want to move, and they shouldn't hopefully have to move too many times.
In fact, it's very disruptive for them,
It is,
especially
isn't
as they
it?
get a little older and they
Sure.
may have some dementia problems started
Absolutely.
or full-blown.
Yeah,
Every move becomes much and much more difficult for them,
Yeah.
and it makes their mental state drop.
Yeah.
It's just, you can see it in their eyes and in the way they talk to you the day before they move and the day they move after, and for several weeks and months, and sometimes they never really recover from that move.
you know, it's interesting, several years ago, we moved my mother-in-law up from Bakersfield and put her in Carrington Point, which is a great
Great
facility.
place.
And the administrator at the time was a good friend, and I called her, and my mother-in-law, the last place she wanted to go was any place outside of her home. And she had her own reasons for that, but it was very necessary medically, and the whole family was on the same page. So kept the home, moved her up here with us, and it was literally around the corner from where we lived at the time, and so we were there every day. You know, my wife basically, but we'd either have her at our house for dinner, or we'd go over there and join her for dinner. And but she was not a happy camper. But after about 2 months, we caught her saying one night, "You know, this is the best decision I ever made."
And I hear that almost every family I help.
Yeah, really.
The initial, no, nobody wants to leave home.
Yeah,
But after they've been in, sometimes it only takes them a couple of weeks because they've been so isolated at home, no friends to talk to really.
sure.
The family doesn't come by as often as they would like. Now they have people they can see every morning for breakfast
Yeah, yeah,
and start their conversations for the day. And
Yeah.
are we going to go to all of the functions together today?
yeah, yeah.
And suddenly they're more vibrant, active. Two things that are most important for every adult as they age into their retirement years, physical activity and mental activity. Well,
Hey,
you
let me
get
interrupt
it.
you real quick. Let's talk about that when we got to take a quick break, but I want to pick up on that when we get back. This is Truth for Seniors. We're talking with David Mose, who is with Assisted Senior Transitions. We will be right back. This is